This video was sponsored by War Thunder. I am the best Hitman player on the entire planet, according to myself, which is why I decided to make the game way harder. And to do so, I came up with the ultimate challenge. I'm not gonna let a single person see me, even for one frame. If this yellow line appears for even a single frame, it means someone saw me and I have to reset. And to make it even more difficult, every death has to be unseen or an accident. I can't knock out anyone that isn't my target, I can't wear anything other than a default suit, and I must always hold a weapon, making everyone suspicious of me. With the rules out of the way, let's begin. This game was easily the hardest out of my other unseen for a single frame challenges for reasons I'll get into later. But luckily the game eased me in with Paris, which ended up being the easiest of the 6 maps. This map takes place at a mansion hosting a fashion show, and I have 2 targets named Victor Novikov and Dalia Margolis. Most of my time on this mission was just spent figuring out exactly which spawn I wanted to choose, as Dalia was on the very top floor of the mansion, while Victor was primarily at the very bottom, so getting between them could prove troublesome. Eventually, I decided to spawn in the attic, as it allowed me to smuggle in an additional item with relative ease. This attic is filled with guards, but luckily they're spread out, so with some precisely timed movements and distractions, I was able to get through the crowd and climb on a ledge to get in the bathroom of Dalia. This is where the additional item I brought with me was so important, an emetic dart gun. This dart gun causes anyone who's shot with it to fall ill and seek out a nearby toilet. By shooting Dalia, she comes to throw up in the bathroom, where I'm waiting in the closet. I exit at a careful time to make sure I'm not spotted in the mirror and eliminate Dalia, having successfully gotten the first kill of the run. That allowed me to move on to my next target, Victor, and after carefully watching everywhere that he goes on his route, I determined he simply isn't possible to kill without his body being found, as he's always tailed by a guard, and on top of that, he never really leaves the party area, so there are always people watching him. This means however I kill him, it would have to look like an accident. Thing is, I just couldn't get close to the guy to make it happen. I couldn't get to anything he eats or drinks to poison it. I couldn't create an accidental explosion or drop a chandelier on him without collateral damage. It just seemed impossible until I had one last idea. You see, there is one way to get Victor to leave his usual route, and that's the fireworks show the player can start if they steal this remote. The thing is, this remote is on a table with 2 workers looking right at it on the 2nd floor of the party with guards everywhere. So with no other choices, I began scheming. Okay, and I just sprint for it. Go. Got it? Perfect. And I think I can get into this room now in time without being spotted. Perfect. Okay. Now, with the firework remote in my hands, I started the show and watched as Victor went outside all by himself. Every single guard out here was mesmerized by the beautiful show, and while his personal guard was lagging behind him, I eliminated him without anyone noticing his body. Since the guards were so mesmerized by the fireworks, I could walk right past them and steal an entire helicopter without being seen. I could have exited on foot, but stealing a helicopter completely unnoticed was much funnier to me. And with that, the first and easiest mission was complete, and it was on to Sapienza. But before we get to the more difficult maps, a quick word from today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and it's free on PC and consoles. Take command of over 2,500 vehicles from 10 major nations, spanning the biplanes of the 1920s to today's cutting-edge fighter jets and main battle tanks. Immerse yourself in the intense combat with realistic graphics, highly detailed vehicles, and authentic sound effects. Join a worldwide War Thunder community of over 70 million players for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox using the link in the description below, and as a limited time special offer, new and returning players that haven't played for at least 6 months on all platforms that use my link will get a massive bonus pack, including the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account, along with tons of other goods. So what are you waiting for? Download War Thunder for free on PC or consoles today using my link in the description, and thank you again to War Thunder for sponsoring the video. Now, back to the challenge. I was terrified going into Sapienza for one reason: the virus. In this mission, I must kill 2 targets, Silvio Caruso and Francesca DeSantis. I also have to destroy a virus being contained in an underground laboratory. Stationary targets are my biggest threat in this challenge, since I can't pull shenanigans like I did with Victor to make them move to a more favorable location. With this in mind, I decided my best choice would be to spawn in the ruins. There are a few reasons I spawned here. The first is it gave me an extremely extremely easy kill on Silvio. I literally just shoot him with a cannon and everyone thinks it's an accident. The second reason I spawned here is because it's the only spawn location that allows me easy access to the lab. I smuggled in a sniper rifle with me in the hopes that I could shoot the virus rather than infiltrating its holding chamber, which is easier said than done as there are a variety of obstacles between me and the virus preventing me from shooting it, and there are always people hovering over the virus, so I need to find an angle that avoids all of that. Luckily, there was one of these spots not too far away. By climbing up on top of a building, I could stand behind this scientist who seems to be the reincarnation of Helen Keller because he didn't notice me shoot a sniper rifle at the virus from like 1 foot away. But it gets even better. My final target comes down here to take a look at the virus, and by standing on a ledge that I accessed by climbing a pipe, I can just snipe her and leave her body on the stairs where nobody will ever find it, allowing me to just steal a plane and leave. Thanks to these blind scientists and guards, they turned what should have been one of the toughest levels into a cakewalk. However, my luck quickly took a turn for the worst in Marrakesh. I'm not kidding this time. The strategy I had to come up with to make this map work was downright insane, so I'm gonna save it as the final boss mission for this video. Instead, let's turn our attention to Bangkok, a mission that honestly wasn't much easier. This mission takes place in a hotel for the wealthy, and I have 2 different targets, a musician named Jordan Cross and a lawyer named Ken Morgan. The only viable spawn would have me spawn in my hotel room, which is nice because it allows me to smuggle an additional item for free. However, that's about the only upside of this map. To even get out of my room, I had to find very precise timings in the routines of everyone around me. Traversal on pretty much every map in this game is going to be a nightmare because unlike Hitman 2 and 3, there are noticeably fewer ways to travel between different points in this game, meaning I will have to slink past crowds of multiple people much more frequently. Eventually though, I made my way to my first target, Jordan Cross, where he was recording vocals. I floundered around for a honestly concerning amount of time trying to get 2 guys to look away so I can get into the recording booth with him before realizing I could just shoot him in the back with a dart that makes him sick and drown him in the toilet. For some reason, people in this game just assume he tripped and fell in, because even if he's found, I still don't lose my silent assassin. With that out of the way, I moved on to my second target, Ken Morgan. Without interference from me, he will walk around the first floor of the hotel and honestly doesn't wander too far. It's pretty much impossible to get to him, so I had to kill him from afar. Initially, I thought I could snipe him and the force of the sniper would push him over the ledge and hide his body, but unfortunately shooting a man in front of a busy hotel during the day isn't as sneaky as I thought. So instead I blew up a man in front of a busy hotel during the day and everyone thought it was an accident because it was a propane flask. This game is strange, but this was all I could come up with. Oh, and also my motherboard apparently caught the plague during this time and completely destroyed the ears of all my viewers, but also began rejecting all USB devices over the next days, along with a variety of other problems in my computer. So the rest of this was recorded on my laptop, so you can't watch Twitch chat have a crippling gambling addiction anymore. Anyways, that brings us to Colorado, the one I think most of you probably thought would be the hardest map, and that's for good reason. This is a full-blown militia outpost where I'm not allowed to be anywhere on the map. And for the cherry on top, I have 4 different targets who are all constantly roaming around the premises. This time, I actually went with the default spawn, as it allows me to spawn completely alone on the mission border, and I was instantly on a time limit. Soon after the mission starts, my first target will go set up a watch in a somewhat isolated position. He is supposed to return to this position on occasion, however, it's pretty common for him to just bug out and stand in his room for infinity, so catching him here is crucial. I sneak into a barn that contains the lethal poison I smuggled in, along with a propane flask. I toss the flask to where I know he will be standing, and by shooting it from a very precise spot, everyone thinks it's an accident, and the simplest target is complete. After that, it was time to sneak into the militia barn they were using for shooting practice. The toughest part was getting by the guards at the entrance, but luckily a distraction shot was enough to get them to turn around. Then, for some reason my target stands by herself, and for a brief moment, nobody's looking at her, so I can use the lethal poison I smuggled in to finish the job, and nobody knows it was me, so I keep my silent assassin rating. These 2 targets were fairly simple so far, but the last 2 were far less cooperative. The first of the 2 was this guy who walks around in a highly defended house in the corner of the map and never leaves the property line. There were so many guards here, it simply wasn't possible for me to get into his house without being seen. So I had to somehow get my target to come out, which was much easier said than done, as if I make any noise, it will almost certainly attract one of the dozens of guards in the house. Luckily, I brought my explosive ducky with me just for this occasion. For some reason, everyone in these games is just obsessed with ducks, and will pick them up regardless of the location. So, after watching my target's route, I found one spot where if I place a duck on a fence gate, he will be the only person to find and take it. This moves him just far enough away from the guards that I can distract him by throwing more items until nobody can see him and I just shoot him in the back of the head. With that master assassination complete, it was time for the most infuriating target. She walks around the greenhouse section of the map tailed by 2 guards. The main reason she was so annoying is because after following her for almost an hour, I realized the only way I could kill her was with another propane flask, located across the entire map in the barn from earlier. So, I spent 45 minutes hauling it over and began preparing the final kill. This target, like I said, is always tailed by 2 guards, so it should make an explosion kill very difficult. However, for some reason she makes them leave her side for a brief period so she can talk to this guy by the car. But her dialogue bugged, so they just kind of stared into each other's eyes for a bit. I can place the propane flask between her and her guards, and when she heads back towards them, boom. I just hide until everyone calms down and exit the mission, having finished what I assumed would be one of the toughest challenges yet. Naturally, I was wrong. The next mission in Hokkaido would crush my dreams. I had devised what I thought was a really clever solution before trying this. I would spawn in my hotel room and instantly kill my first target, Yuki Yamazaki, by shooting at her and scaring her onto an escape car that I would then shoot down to kill her. To avoid being seen, I would use a glitch to boost through the ceiling of my hotel room, run to my next target, and kill him. But alas, the rooftop is made of glass, so no matter where I went, I would be seen, meaning I had to completely scrap everything and spawn in the morgue. The reason I had to spawn here was because it was the only way I could get close to my other target, Edward Soders. He is getting surgery and never moves, but I don't need him to. By taking electronic key hackers along with me and some lethal poison, I can poison his transfusion while the nurse isn't looking and kill him without leaving a trace. But that left me with taking down Yuki, and I couldn't get a sightline of her car anymore, so that was no longer an option. I was forced to come up with a new plan. Instead, I would use the staircase in the morgue that leads down to the garage. From there, I could sneak past the guards and employees in order to get into the control room for the sauna and bath area. If I then turn up the temperature, the people inside will leave, but Yuki, who likes the hot temperature, will enter, ordering her guard to keep watch outside in the process. As she goes in, I execute her and slip out through the garage, silently exiting on an extremely loud snowmobile that I stole. And now, let's circle back to the real final boss of this run. This map is absolutely brutal for a variety of reasons. The first is that the map is made up of a marketplace, an embassy, a riot outside of the embassy, and a school that's been taken over by the military. There isn't an ounce of space I can use to travel from one spot to the other. Whatever zone I spawn in is where I have to complete the entire mission from. I spent hours trying to figure out what could possibly make this work, only to get spotted time and time again. Eventually, I determined the only spawn that would possibly work would be right in the depths of the militarized school. I brought a few items with me, but I'll get into them as they come up. I started by taking out my sniper rifle and ditching the briefcase, before sneaking through a window and climbing up some crates to reach the second floor. Here, I snuck back out the window and climbed along a ledge to enter this room, where I stole some keys sitting on a desk that I'll need for later. From here, I needed to set up an accident kill for my first target, General Zaydan, and to do so, I needed to get into his office, which was guarded by 3 guards. By shooting very precise shots, the guards at his office will all turn around for a brief moment. Here, I can shoot a gas tank and turn off an oil lamp. When Zaydan enters his office, he'll turn on the oil lamp and cause an explosion, killing him. A guard does come to check out the sound, but I'm able to narrowly avoid him by circling around the desk. Then, I shoot more shots to get the guards to turn around once more and make my way out of the building. Back at the windows from earlier, I drop down and use the silent sniper I brought with me to shoot open this lock and escape the school. But now I'm faced with a serious dilemma. I need to somehow kill my target, who is completely across the map, and I'm pretty much stuck here. The one saving grace is that if he gets scared, he will use an underground tunnel to meet up with my other target at the school. However, I can't leave this school without being seen due to all the people, and the highest vantage point I can get to doesn't give me vision of the embassy. If I could get just a little more height, I could probably get vision of it, but that's what I brought my violin for. By dropping a violin on the ground along with a breaching charge, I can stand on the broken pieces of the violin and launch myself through the rooftop I'm standing under, giving me just enough height to shoot at my target and scare him into lockdown. As he runs over, Zaydan triggers the trap I set for him and dies, meaning when my other target arrives to meet up with him, he isn't allowed inside and is instead assigned a bodyguard and sits on a bench. The thing is, this bodyguard bodyguard is programmed to only go to him while he's sitting on that bench. So by shooting a shot behind my other target, he'll go check out the noise in an isolated corner, and the guard that was assigned to him will just leave. So I can then run down and just shoot him without anybody noticing. And the keys I stole earlier are for the very same truck he's standing right next to, allowing me to escape completely undetected, other than the random gunshots, but that was probably just the wind. With that, the challenge is complete. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to download War Thunder for free in the description below and claim your bonus today. I'll see you next time.